typical of early in practice, defense really stood out and put another day of installation on the offense, and I thought the defense took a great step forward. You know, we talked about in our team meeting how important turnovers are, and you look up and they get 4 turnovers on the day, which is tremendous, and defensive line with 3 batted balls, which is something we work extremely hard on in individual. Other guys that stood out to me, it was really neat to watch the young secondary work between Isaiah and Bubba and Jakari and Greg. I thought they did a wonderful job. Kids are going to be good players for us. And it was really neat to see Jordan Iosefa and John Houston, how far they have come from, you know, kind of special teams players, role players, and now here's their opportunity, and they're really stepping forward. They've had 2 good back-to-back days, and the guy that you know, really is doing a nice job for a young person is Levi Jones. He has showed up in our team run period back-to-back days, making plays, so good to see there. Injury-wise today, had Vianney with just a roll of his ankle a little bit. We were precautionary, pulled him for today. Elijah Vera-Tucker had a tweak of a hamstring, and Daniel, we're being very protective of that hip flexor, just getting the work he needs and shutting him down, being very precautionary there. With that, I'll answer any questions that you got.
Guys are deep at wide receiver, but inexperienced.
Yes.
And you've got a couple of guys coming in Joseph and Randall that are really good football players. Can these guys play this year for you guys?
Yeah, I think T is really excited about them right off the bat, and they've shown back-to-back days there's no fear in them, and I credit them. They've really been in their playbook. You don't see a lot of assignment busts out there by them right now. Obviously, they have really natural ball-catching skill and route-running ability. Really impressive by Randall, you know, having to play half wideout, half quarterback last year in high school, and then Joseph is just, you know, he does not look like a freshman physically right now. His body type, he kind of looks like how Juju came in, that physical nature. So very impressed by them. You know, I'm hoping that's a strength in numbers group. I hope we can produce a solid 2 deep that just runs in waves and can keep each other fresh. And if we're going to do that, hopefully we look up and look like a basketball team on grass. That would be nice.
Matt Bormeister's girlfriend released a statement last night where she was critical of the process for Matt. He was removed from the team. How familiar were you of the process, and how do you feel as if everything is?
Yeah, obviously a university matter right now, not a football matter. I'll have to refer you to that. They've already released a statement, as you know. Obviously there's privacy issues involved, so I got to leave it at that, and I hope you respect it. Thank you.
Do you feel any? Are you allowed to be part of that process when it happens during the year, or are you?
Anytime that there's a university matter, they take the football coaches and team out of it, and it totally becomes a university matter.
So,
and after that, I can't, guys. I'm sorry. I'm being respectful. I gotta hold the privacy issue. So if you got football questions, that's great.
I have to ask if you can be a character witness for any player that goes in the Title IX interview.
Again, there's a football issue. I mean, university matter, not a football issue, and I can't dive into any part of it, just out of respect.
Clay, can you talk a little bit about Brown and place kicking?
Yeah, you know, really we saw 2 kids out there today in Chase and Mike, and I thought both were really good, both strong legs. And you know, Mike, you can see a comfort level about him a year into the process, and did a nice job today. As well as, you know, Chase went out there for his first time, you know, being on this grass and being in front of everybody. I was impressed. So, you know, obviously a nice competition there between those 2 kids. We're glad both of them are here. Thank goodness we got 27 practices to kind of figure it out to see who's the most consistent.
How do you get a kid ready for the big games, Stanford and Texas, and they have no experience?
Yeah, you try to put them in some pressure situations. You remember spring, how, you know, we sat down there with Mike down there and said, hey, if you make this, practice is over. If not, we got 4 more periods. And, you know, everybody's around you and they're cheering you on. So you try to put them in some of those situations that obviously, you know, put a little pressure on them where the team is involved. And we'll do that throughout camp. And then you say a prayer, you cross both fingers and hope he's ready when you send him out.
Ronald Jones.
Jake also?
Yeah, Jake was out there today. You know, it's something that we've been hopefully preparing for. You know, one day to have the opportunity to get him out there and having conversations with our medical staff. You saw us preparing through spring. I'm going to do that through camp. I just want him to be ready if the opportunity arises.
Ronald Jones is the leader in that running backs room now. What does he brought to camp this year, and what do you kind of expect out of him?
Yeah, Lindsay, I love what I saw at the end of the year. I saw it in spring. It's him being a complete back and every down back, and really have been impressed with him through the spring and the fall of, we've always known him as a runner. Now he's catching the ball out of the backfield. Pass protection. You see the weight he's added on. He came into camp at 207 pounds, so he's added 10 pounds of muscle on. So he's forming himself into that every down back, and that's what you want when you have an opportunity to be in that role.
First couple of years, he's been getting 10, 13 carries. Now he's added the weight. He got you can take on more.
Yeah, when he was growing up, you had a guy named Justin Davis who was here too. That was pretty good. And now it's his turn. He's the older brother, and he's got some guys that are pushing him too. I've been impressed with Dominic. Obviously, you look up and you have Vi coming on board after a redshirt year, and then Stephen Carr, who's really put on a show out here in our team run. So he's got a great opportunity to be pushed from behind. We got to find that second and third guy, going into that first game. But the good thing is the strength in numbers at that position, and it's quality. That's what you want.
What was your reaction when you saw you had the dreads back?
He told me dreads make him faster. I said I like it, but I wish I had some. But I'm glad to see. Rojo is a special spirit and a special person, so it makes him feel good. I'm all for it.
As a head coach, do you have an ideology about like a feature back, like a guy that you would run 20, 25 times?
Yeah, obviously in this balanced offense that we have, and we talked about in our team meeting, how the run sets up the pass. We have to be a bunch that hopefully we do like last year. We averaged 200.7 yards rushing a game last year, and that balance helps create one high coverage and throws down the field. A perfect game for me is 80 snaps with 40 runs and 40 passes, and keeping the defense off balance. So obviously you're going to need a guy that hopefully can do 25 touches in a game, and then have one or two other guys that can carry that rest of that load. And then you have some guys that are special coming out of the backfield. You've seen Dominic Davis for us motion out, do some things. You see Velus Jones in this camp do some of that. So obviously we try to be creative. That is the fifth receiver on this team, and that position has created explosive plays for us.
Kind of seemed like an anomaly of a day for Sam with the 3 interceptions.
Yeah. It's good for him. It's good for him. Obviously, if you want to get it done, obviously you want it to happen now, and to learn from that. And again, there's going to be some growing pains as we go through this camp. You have new wide receivers. You're learning their timing. I don't get over emotional about it. That it's in the world in practice too. I think it's a great learning example for him to be able to really dive in and get a great chemistry with these kids. And like I told him, the one thing that he has is his sense of timing and letting the ball go. You never want to handcuff that guy. He's got great anticipatory skills. If he sees it and believes in it, let it go. Make a full speed decision, and we'll live with the results. I trust him to do the job.
Do you think since he's not in a quarterback competition, he feels he can make throws like that?
I'm going to say this. There's no man on this field that puts more pressure on himself to perform than Sam Darnold. And he really doesn't do it, because there's guys behind him. He does it because he wants to help his teammates. And he loves that pressure to be put on him to carry his team. So you appreciate that as a coach. I'm more about, making sure he gets to the next play, and don't worry about it. So and learn from it. So he's a very mature soul, and he's one that learns from every mistake. I would expect he would come out here in the next practice and do extremely well.
Yeah, what was his reaction like after he threw the third when I saw his arms go up? Did he say anything to you?
No. We just came over and said, hey, that's that type of day. It's a great learning day. It shows you how much you have to do extra with these kids and be able to get on their page, and it's one of those things that when things aren't going good, remember to check the ball down a little bit, or you got great feet and take off and run. So again, I'm come in to, as much as success helps you, also some failures help you to learn from too.
Did Austin Jackson come into fall camp with a significant weight gain from signing day? He looks like he was quite a bit heavier.
You know, all our kids right now, you know, I look at those big kids and you sign them, it's amazing how much 6 months helps. I look at Peely and he's at 340, you know, and you look at Jay Tufeli, he's at 307 right now. You look at Austin and he's put about 15 pounds of extra weight on. They're still growing. I mean, all of a sudden they were 17, 18 years old. You give them 6 months and now they're really big people. Andrew Voorhees was another one that really jumped up. Elijah Vera Tucker. So it's good to see those kids grow. We really felt that those 10 kids that we signed were going to be really big people at the end of the day, and you can see right now as true freshmen they're already grown men.
Let's do one more. Clay, how do you go about figuring out your offensive line when you got a couple of guys that are so versatile like Nico and Toa?
Yeah, no question. I talked about this in practice one about just double training them because you know, we have to be able to identify the center, but also both have played tackle before. And so the ability to get that one group where Sam's comfortable with both. We have a couple really good young centers in Cole and Brett, but going, you know, as you move through camp, you know that you have Nico, you have Toa, and you know, one's going to be center, one's going to help us at another position, but both of them have to train because as we've seen, unfortunately, over the last 2 years, 2 years ago we got to our fourth center, and then last year, you know, we lose a center early. So we have to be prepared. We have to think worst case scenario and hope for the best. Plan for worst case and hope for the best. All right, guys.